Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another one of my Marquee matches reviews. And this was once again hosted by Charlie Caruso. And in this match, I should say in this episode, I'm going to be once again reviewing a Hell in a Cell match. But in this one, I'm going to be reviewing one from Hell in a Cell 2016. And that's a Hell in a Cell match for the Universal Championship. WWE Universal Champion Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. I was actually there live for this match, and it was definitely interesting to go back and rewatch this match after a couple of years after it happened. I think I enjoyed the match maybe a little bit more live, but it was still a great match. But let's talk about the build-up for this match. So pretty much what happened was when they were doing a vacant WWE Universal Championship match to crown a new champion. It was a fatal four-way match, and it was an elimination match, and it was down to the last two wrestlers, Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. And this was like when the Universal Championship was fairly new. The previous champion had been injured, so they had it get vacated, and they had to have a new champion. And Triple H came out to help out Seth Rollins. At least we thought, because Triple H had been associated with Seth Rollins, because Triple H was Seth Rollins' hand-picked guy to be the top guy, and Seth Rollins was the WWE World Heavyweight Champion around that time. He had won the Money in the Bank contract, cashing in at WrestleMania, and pretty much Seth Rollins was the guy for the Authority. But then eventually what happened was this night, after Seth Rollins had been injured, and he would fail to win back the WWE World Champ. Well, he did win it back, but then he got it cashed in on. He failed to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship back to Raw when it was drafted over to SmackDown. He failed to become the first ever WWE Universal Champion. Triple H turned his back on Seth Rollins and laid him out with the pedigree, and this was essentially Seth Rollins' face turn, which I think they've always botched his face turn. He really should have come back immediately. He came back in May at Extreme Rules, and he wasn't a face after his injury, and he got a big ovation, but then he eventually just went back and turned heel and said he didn't need any of their fans. I always thought that was a mistake not to bring back Seth Rollins as a babyface. They kept him heel, and when he turned babyface, he didn't really feel like a babyface. He still kind of felt like a heel. He was still kind of acting like the same heel Seth Rollins. So there was really nothing different about Seth Rollins that made him a babyface. So everyone loves Seth Rollins now, but you guys gotta remember, originally they messed up his babyface run, and so yeah, pretty much Triple H helped Kevin Owens win the WWE Universal Championship, which was a huge deal that Kevin Owens was Universal Champion. Kind of sucks though that he only really got the title because the previous champion had gotten hurt. But it was still really cool for Kevin Owens that he was the WWE Universal Champion. So pretty much the whole story of this was anytime Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens would have Universal title matches, Kevin Owens' best friend Chris Jericho would continuously interfere in that match. He interfered at Clash of Champions and helped Seth Rollins and helped Kevin Owens retain the Universal Championship. So Raw General Manager Mick Foley forced Kevin Owens to defend his WWE Universal Championship inside Hell in a Cell against Seth Rollins. I thought that was a great idea, and it made sense. But obviously, that didn't happen. But it didn't work out the way that Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens thought. And I always liked the feud with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. I always thought they had great matches, and this was no different. This was a great match right here. Let's talk about the match. So, we had the commentary team of Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Byron Saxton, and we had the match. And I should mention too that in a triple threat match, Seth Rollins knocked off Jericho, and afterwards they attacked Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens powerbombed Seth Rollins into the apron. So Seth Rollins was coming off an injured back from the go-home edition of Monday Night Raw. And now that I've said that, let's talk about the match. Match was great. Kevin Owens immediately goes for a weapon, but Seth Rollins attacks Kevin Owens with a drop kick, and he beats the crap out of Kevin Owens throughout the beginning portion of this matchup. He hits a really cool flying clothesline, and Seth Rollins sets up a table, and he dominates Kevin Owens throughout the beginning portions of this matchup. But then eventually the back becomes a hindrance to Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens dominates Seth Rollins. He throws him into the cell. He ended up taking off the tape that Seth Rollins was using to show that he was injured, which was pretty gruesome. And he threw him into the cell again. And Kevin Owens ended up, pretty much Kevin Owens dominated Seth Rollins pretty decisively throughout the next few moments of the matchup. He had a senton right across the injured back of Seth Rollins, and I thought that was some nice stuff. He ended up really targeting the back of Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins started to make a comeback. He had a Falcon Arrow right onto the apron on to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins both exchanged super kicks on each other. Seth Rollins hit an enziguri right after that, and then Kevin Owens bounced off the rope and hit a wicked clothesline onto Seth Rollins. And after this, Kevin Owens pulls on another table, and he doesn't stack them up. He leans the first table over the second table right across the Hell in a Cell. I thought that was actually pretty creative. I liked that. Then Seth Rollins started to make his comeback. He had a suicide dive a couple of times into Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens then threw Seth Rollins head first into the cell, which was really cool. And then Kevin Owens hit Seth Rollins with a fire extinguisher. And after this, Kevin Owens sprays the fire extinguisher right into the referee's eyes. So another referee has to unlock the cell and attend to that referee. And Chris Jericho, and this opens up the door, no pun intended, for Chris Jericho to run out, and he locks himself into the Hell in a Cell with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. So now Seth Rollins has to fight both members of Jericho in a 2-on-1 handicap match. And obviously they had this plan. I thought that was actually quite clever. And Seth Rollins does the best he can. He hits an enziguri onto Chris Jericho, setting Jericho head first into the cell, and he hits a super kick onto onto Kevin Owens. Then he hits a power bomb and sends Kevin Owens crashing through 2 tables, which was really cool. And then he hits the frog splash onto Kevin Owens. Prior to this, Seth Rollins had laid out Chris Jericho with a pedigree, so he thought he had gotten rid of him. But then he went for the cover, and Chris Jericho recovered, and he pulled the referee out. So Seth Rollins attacked Chris Jericho. He beat the crap out of him. He powerbombed him right into the cell, and this allowed Kevin Owens to recover and hit a super kick and a pop-up powerbomb onto Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins kicked out. Then this was pretty much a destruction of Seth Rollins. Kevin Owens grabbed the steel chair and beat the crap out of Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins did the best he could to fight off both Jericho. He hit them both with the steel chair, but then Kevin Owens hit a DDT into the chair, and he teased like he was going to go for the package power driver, but instead he just hit like a package power driver throw type of move, and then eventually he powerbombed Seth Rollins right through the chairs, and he covered Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens won and retained his Universal Championship. I think this match is great. It's probably one of the best matches Kevin Owens had as Universal Champion, and he really looked really strong in this match. I loved Kevin Owens' WWE Universal Championship run. If you had to ask me, I would say he's the second best Universal Champion in history, and he was a great Universal Champion. I like the dynamic him and Jericho had with each other, and I thought it was great. And then afterwards, I forgot to mention Chris Jericho lays out Seth Rollins with a code breaker when he's about to get to his feet. So this kind of launched off into that. And let's talk. And yeah, if I had to rate this match, I'll give the match. I forgot to rate the other one, but I'll rate this one. I'm going to give this match 4 stars. It's a great match. A lot of great spots, a lot of great storytelling. I thought it was great. And then you had the aftermath of this match. Pretty much, they would continue this feud to one more match on an episode of Monday Night Raw because Seth Rollins joined Team Raw. He ended up getting another Universal title match where Kevin Owens won again via interference from Chris Jericho. So then this led to Seth Rollins versus Chris Jericho at Roadblock End of the Line, where Seth Rollins beat Chris Jericho. And then Kevin Owens would go into would have another lengthy one as Universal Champion. He would lose it at Fastlane in stupid fashion. And obviously we knew that the Jericho tag team wasn't going to last very long eventually. During the Festival of Friendship, which I think was on February 14th, 2017, but don't quote me on that. Kevin Owens turned his back on Chris Jericho in probably one of the best segments of 2017. I think the best segment of 2014. And then it would lead to Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho wrestling for the United States Championship at WrestleMania, where Kevin Owens would win. Then Jericho would win the rematch at Payback, and then Owens would win the blow-off match on an episode of SmackDown, winning back the United States Championship, and Kevin Owens would get drafted to SmackDown. He would have his run as U.S. Champion there, and then Jericho came back for a one-off appearance and a triple threat match with Kevin Owens, but neither of them won the match. And then Kevin Owens did his run on SmackDown, and then he went back to Raw, and pretty much Kevin Owens hasn't really been utilized all that well. They did have another, they did have another altercation with each other where Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho wrestled in the Greatest Royal Rumble earlier this year, so that was really cool. And as for Seth Rollins, he would go on to have his feud with Triple H, and beat him at WrestleMania, and then Seth Rollins had a pretty decent run in 2017. He was Raw Tag Team Champions and stuff like that. Then he's probably had the best run of his WWE career with his big babyface run and his run as IC Champion. And he's had a couple of great matches with Kevin Owens for the Intercontinental Championship, which has been great. And that's pretty much what's going on with Seth Rollins. Chris Jericho is wrestling some great matches in New Japan Pro Wrestling this year, so that's great for him. And that's pretty much all I have to say right there. Overall, well, everybody benefits from this match. Kevin Owens, not so much right now, but definitely in the short term. But whatever. This is pretty much the end of this review. As for the where the commentators are, Corey Graves is in the same spot. He's the heel commentator for both Raw and SmackDown. Michael Cole's in the exact same spot. And Byron Saxton's the face commentator for SmackDown. So, yeah. I don't know if I mentioned, but this was hosted by Charlie Caruso. I might have mentioned it, might not, but I'll mention it now. But that's pretty much the end of this video. Please make sure you guys, I'm just going to end it off. Make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.